Good morning, everyone. It's an important day tomorrow, and we are here at Echo Park Lake on this beautiful autumn day. We want Angelenos to be aware of the next phase of our initiative to reduce single-use plastic waste along our beaches, in our waterways, in our parks, everywhere that we see them, ubiquitously now, for many, many years. Before we begin, I want to highlight the broad spectrum of support joining us today. We have local small business owner Josh Estrada, who owns Beacon at Echo Park Lake, the wonderful restaurant operating here at the Boathouse. We have grassroots environmental organization Heal the Bay, and we could not have done any of this work without our partners at City Hall, our own Los Angeles Sanitation and Environment, our very own Department of Sanitation, working to make sure Los Angeles is cleaner and greener. And here's the latest update. Starting Tuesday, October 1st, all restaurants and food beverage facilities, including sit-down, full-service, fast food, kiosks, convenience stores, even food trucks, will be required to withhold plastic beverage straws unless a customer requests them. The first phase of my initiative took effect earlier this year on Earth Day, April 22nd, for businesses with more than 26 employees. And now, starting tomorrow, restaurants of all sizes must comply. Compliant is based on enforcement. It'll be based on complaints. Enforcement will be based on complaints. Will also begin at this time. Let me give you a little bit of background about how we got here. Councilwoman Nuri Martinez joined me in setting out on a mission to clean up our environment, and we started with plastic straws. We wanted to create a citywide ordinance requiring all restaurants and food service providers to distribute plastic straws only on request. We enlisted the help of our Bureau of Sanitation to provide business owners options they may use as a single-use plastic straw alternative, such as straws that biodegrade or are recyclable. My office also collaborated with the restaurant industry on a plan that we can all agree on, straws on request. So starting tomorrow, tomorrow's October 1st, right? Okay. I have to always consult my phone now to make sure I'm on the right date. All restaurant customers will have to ask for a straw if they absolutely need one. And let me tell you, you don't even need a straw to drink a smoothie, because I've been doing that for years now. Just have them blended a little thinner. Both the state and county recently adopted a single-use plastic straw policy. However, the City Council action goes above and beyond state requirements for addressing plastic straw pollution. In drive-through restaurants, the customer will be notified to ask for a straw if one is needed. I want to introduce our Board of Public Works Commissioner, Jessica Caloza, who oversees the Bureau of Sanitation and the rollout of this program. Jessica. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Caloza. I'm really excited to be here on behalf of the Board of Public Works. I'm excited to see how many people are out here from the media who are really in support of what the city is doing to make the city a lot more green. More importantly, I'm really excited to see what happens when business, community, and government come together to form this partnership on what is going to be a really critical rollout for the city. Plastic pollution is a big problem for our oceans and waterways. It breaks down into small pieces and is eaten by fish and wildlife, often killing them. Plastic pollution ends up in our storm drains, flowing to the ocean and harming our water quality. It ends up in landfills, leaching chemicals into the soil and groundwater. In addition, plastic is made from fossil fuels, so its production contributes to climate change. Perhaps worst of all, the size and shape of plastic straws make them virtually impossible to recycle. Communities from coast to coast, from Seattle to Miami Beach and now Los Angeles, have stepped up to take on plastic pollution and place restrictions on plastic straws. So as the council member said, starting tomorrow, October 1st, straws will only be available on request at all eateries in Los Angeles, large and small, including fast food and takeout restaurants, and it will be a complaint-based enforcement. The second phase of Straws on Request Ordinance follows the first phase that went into effect on Earth Day earlier this year. The city will continue to work also with our disabled community, especially with our Department of Disability, to make sure that concerns by our friends and neighbors who are also in critical need of straws in their day-to-day lives are addressed in this new expansion and enforcement. And so on behalf of the Board of Public Works, we really want to thank you all for being here. We really want to thank City Council, especially Councilman O'Farrell, for his continuous support on making the environment more green. And I would also like to thank the really critical teams who played a really important part in making today possible, the CD13 team, LA Sanitation Environment, and of course our Public Affairs Office for making today possible. And so now I have the honor of introducing our Director and General Manager of LA Sanitation and Environment, who is going to talk a little bit more about the outreach and education efforts that the city has done in this rollout. So Mr. Enrique Saldivar.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa, Councilmember O'Farrell. This is a very special day for us in LA Sanitation and Environment as we move to a point of finality with regards to straws. This is the last step, the last phase of what's going to be a restricted use of almost like an outright ban of plastic straws. LA Sanitation and Environment has been hard at work all year, educating restaurant owners and the public about the city's new straws on demand law. In April, as the council member and Commissioner Calosa indicated, on Earth Day of this year, April 22nd, the first phase of the law went into effect, mandating that all restaurants and eateries with more than 26 employees provide straws on demand. So that began the phasing in of this new law. Starting tomorrow, that applies to all eateries, regardless of size. We estimate it's about 35,000. Just when LA San, similarly to when LA San spearheaded the citywide public awareness campaign surrounding the plastic bag ban in LA, which now has become part of our culture. No longer are single-use plastic bags available at grocery stores, as all of us have gotten accustomed to this new rather easily. We know that we can change behavior and steer people away from the single-use plastic straws as well. We recently mailed educational flyers to all 35,000 food service establishments with information about the applicability of Phase 2 of the straw law, as well as the enforcement, which both will go into effect tomorrow. The reverse side of the mailer is comprised of a customer advisory notice in English and Spanish. Restaurants can hang up the mailer in their establishment to comply with the city's public information notification requirements, which must also include information on the environmental impact of plastic straws, or they can choose to come up with their own notice if they find it more convenient. Last Friday, LA San conducted an outreach event to all 35,000 establishments and restaurant owners about the straws ordinance. Additional informational sessions are available upon request if any business would like to know more details of the applicability of the law. At this year's Abilities Expo, as Commissioner Calosa indicated, LA San and the Department of Disability designed and administered a survey for the disabled community to ensure their needs are addressed as straw restrictions go into place. The city is encouraging the use of straws made from alternative materials, whether they're biodegradable or recyclable, such as paper, metal, bamboo, or even pasta, by providing examples of such materials at all of our outreach events. And I know Councilmember O'Farrell, he always carries his entire array. I see it right here. He'll show it to you in a minute. these are just a few of the ways in which we are making sure Angelenos are ready for phase 2 of the Straws on Demand ordinance. With that, I'd like to turn the microphone back to Councilmember O'Farrell. Thank you.
Thanks, Enrique. Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Thank you, Enrique Saldivar. Yes, look, this just proves that straws can be fun, right? You can save the environment and have fun at the same time. What a deal. Reports show that Americans use 500 million straws each day. That's just crazy. Single-use plastic are also the top items found in coastal cleanups. I want to thank Heal the Bay for always reminding Angelenos about the importance of our local ocean habitat and the negative impacts of our waste on our sea life. And if I'm not mistaken, Nancy Schroeds, you can correct me, but now plastic straws are 2 out of every 10 items of waste found on our beaches every year at our coastal cleanup. So I'd like to introduce from Heal the Bay, Nancy Schroeds. There you are.
Good morning. When I'm out in the community, I often share the latest research and what it's telling us about the state of the ocean and our watersheds. And there's always one stat that shocks people to attention, and that's that 8 million tons of plastic are dumped into our oceans every year. That's the equivalent of 1 garbage truck full every single minute. In the last 34 years, Heal the Bay volunteers have removed more than 2.5 million pounds of trash from LA County beaches. That's the weight of 3 fully loaded 747 passenger jets, just for reference. Drink-related trash accounts for nearly 40% of all items found on LA beaches, and plastic straws make up a big amount of that trash. Local volunteers, in fact, have removed more than 137,000 straws from the natural environment in Los Angeles in the last 2 decades. Discarded straws litter our beaches, streets, and parks, and they're not only unsightly, but they are deadly for marine life and harmful to human health as well. Exposure to plastics and associated toxins have been linked to cancers, birth defects, impaired immunity, endocrine disruptors, and other serious health issues. Straws on request is a simple, common-sense solution and an enormous step towards reducing single-use plastic pollution in Los Angeles. If you need a straw, you can access a straw. If you don't need one, you can skip the straw and reduce your plastic footprint. As more and more businesses roll out straws on request in the city of LA, we expect to find fewer and fewer plastic straws at our cleanups, which would be a big relief. We want to commend our LA City Council and local restaurants and businesses for adopting straws on request ordinance. They recognize that they can be a part of the solution to plastic pollution. Smart companies are quickly learning that there are many forms of the bottom line, and what's good for the environment is good for business. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So when I introduced this initiative about 1.5 years ago, just days later, I'd go out to restaurants and I would be told voluntarily without people knowing who I am, oh, we don't, plastic straws are banned in Los Angeles now. So just introducing the initiative motivated a lot of restaurants to just start offering paper straws or use alternatives. And so that's been spreading for the last 1.5 years. I was in Hollywood some time ago at a fundraiser for a charity, and there was a bar and 2 young people were ordering cocktails, and when the bartender put little stir straws, they said, no, we don't use those. Those are bad for the environment. And these were young adults, so people are hip to the fact that plastic straws are harming the environment. So I think that what we're doing is really, we have an awareness of the current zeitgeist. Individuals want to play a role in helping to save our environment. Now, one such individual is Josh Estrada. Now, he's co-partner of Beacon at Echo Park Lake behind us, as I mentioned, and they're already using compostable materials as a plastics alternative beyond just straws. And here's the power of what we do in Los Angeles. Driving here right before this press conference, I heard on CBS National Radio a quote from Josh in Los Angeles about Los Angeles leading the way on straws plastic straws upon request only. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce media darling Josh Estrada from Beacon.
Thank you, Councilmember Mr. O'Farrell. First I'd like to just thank the entire district for all the support that they have with this sort of initiative. I think things like these really give direction to businesses and just everyone operating within the space to kind of go along and to kind of like challenge themselves to like continue to see what they can do to really implement solutions and be a part of the solution rather than a part of the problem. So I just want to thank the entire district for all their support and everything that they do. So originally when we heard about this, we got ahead of it. Rather than kind of waiting for it and being more reactive, we asked ourselves what we could do to kind of make an impact in the business. Because the thing is, if enough of us buy into this, it becomes more of a standard and we all start playing by the same rules. So if it becomes more standardized, if we start to use these same products, then it drives the cost down. It changes the way that we do business. Sourcing sustainable products will increase the way that we produce and run operations that kind of give us these sustainable products. So kind of just raising more awareness on this is going to help everybody. Being that we're at this beautiful park, it's a privilege and an opportunity to do business here, and I think we're more sensitive to it than most because we see it in action every single day. We don't want to be the ones responsible and accountable for plastic cups, plastic straws, plastic stirs, and all the waste that you see at the park. So we really try to set an example and be a platform for people to kind of see and take example from. We also get a lot of tourists coming in from all over different parts of the world, and they see us using these products, and it's a little bit of a shock to them. But for us, we feel like we're responsible to educate them and to show them like, hey, this is it. Like this is what we should be doing as a collective. So we kind of use our space as a platform to be able to set a good example for the community. And I, speaking on behalf of the business side, like I know it's a challenge in a lot of ways, but work with your sales rep, work with those partners that really take a stand for these sorts of things, because it's going to help them grow. And as they grow, they'll be able to produce more products and be able to supply us with more things that are going to help everyone. So if we kind of collectively buy in and work together, it's going to kind of even it out for everyone. So I just like to thank everyone for, allowing us to really be a part of this and, sharing this special place. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah. Thank you. Good stuff. Thanks. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for being such a leader and a business leader right here in Echo Park. So step by step, we're making positive strides towards improving our environment. And the next step is a complete phase out of all plastic straws by 2021. I've been talking about that for a long time, so that they will no longer even be possible in the market in Los Angeles. That gives businesses, manufacturers more time to completely remove single-use plastic straws from their inventory, and then, as Josh mentioned, look for alternative products that will be on the market, because now manufacturers are more motivated to serve the Los Angeles market, so they're going to be competitive in bringing single-use biodegradable utensils, plastic straws, etc. to the market. So we really are influencing the way the environment can improve based on environmentally friendly products. We can do that in Los Angeles because we have the economy of scale. So this is just the beginning. We know that single-use plastics, especially in California, are going to be on their way out. We know that the recycling market in plastics has collapsed, almost completely collapsed. So it's not as though we even have the ability to put all these plastics on a container and then ship them over to be recycled somewhere else. That market has collapsed completely, doesn't exist anymore. So we can be all in this together, and really each individual who is a consumer, as I mentioned, can play a role in helping to save the environment. So thank you everyone for attending, and that concludes our press conference. And if we have any questions, we're happy to answer them. How many what straws? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to answer that right now because I don't know what portion of the 500 million per day are used in Los Angeles, but I suppose we'll start having that data. And I don't really have a mechanism right now for that, but we'll report back. And Enrique, if you have anything to say, I don't know if we have a way to do that right now. I know that when we do, like, for example, coastal cleanups in future years, we should start seeing a difference there. When we do the annual river cleanup, we should start seeing a difference there. In the Los Angeles River, there are probably millions of embedded plastic straws in the hard sand that are on the riverbed, and you can't even pull them out. So kind of like when we did the plastic bag ban years ago, within a couple of years, you could visibly see the reduction in plastic bags that would get caught in all of the greenery after a flood or after a rain event. It was greatly reduced just visibly. And we do the cleanups in the river every year. There's less to clean up now. So we'll see the visible results, but we will be looking for ways to collect that data as well. Yes?
So that was my first question, but my second question, LA Sanitation said there are motions to phase out other single-use plastic items like cups, silverware. Can you talk about that and what your goal is with those items?
Well, we know that the state is still considering a bill that would phase out all single plastic use items by 2030. That bill is still alive and will probably be refined and I think very likely be adopted by next year. So that is informing our way forward in Los Angeles as well in terms of all single-use plastic items, bottles, utensils, etc. Beyond that, I'll let Enrique respond, but we know that there are those motions, so they'll probably be heard fairly soon. I don't know that they're scheduled yet, but it's all part of the same conversation. Enrique?
Thank you, Councilman. And yes, thank you for your question. The drivers for the potential ban of other types of plastics are pretty much the same. Number one is, as the council member indicated, the markets for plastics have just about collapsed for a number of reasons. Number two, the environmental impact that all plastics have are very much like we have indicated here for straws. So there's a whole lot of things for why plastics are very much on their way out. We know that they're very much in our everyday life, so it's not something that we can do overnight. I think it's going to be a gradual phase out over time, but that's the direction that the state has already set, and like the council member, we very much support it.
And what is the fine, by the way?
For violating, it ends up being an infraction. It starts out at I think a maximum of $500, but how much?
25. There is a first education, second education.
Okay, go on.
I'm sorry. Alex Halou for LA Sanitation. The first, we do public education and outreach to the restaurant. There is the first time, second time. The third time, we will have a $25 fine for a maximum of $300 per calendar year. Sure. There is a $25 fine after 2 visits and education, and the maximum the restaurant will be charged is $300 per year.
Originally, and still, I wanted this to be incentive driven. I certainly don't want to punish businesses because I know that the profit margins in restaurants are very, very slim. So this has been more of an awareness campaign as much as a let's phase them out campaign. I've been meeting with restaurants, including the small mom and pops here locally, many, many times over the last couple of years, so that people are prepared that these small businesses owners, sometimes they don't have the luxury of making it to City Hall to let us know how they feel. So it's we've really taken those business owners into consideration in this approach to phasing out plastics. I just want to give you some information. The resolutions, the bills pending in Sacramento are AB 1080. I think it's Lorena Gonzalez, if I'm not mistaken. And then SB 54, Senator Ben Allen. Those are the eliminate all single-use plastics bills in the state of California. And I recently introduced a resolution for the city of Los Angeles to support both of those bills. So we like I said, we know it's coming, we feel it's coming, and we're really out of options. Unlike, I think it was the film The Graduate, and when the quote was, "The future is plastics." Well, guess what? In 2019, the future is not plastics. The future is saving the environment. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, straws. Okay, so thanks, Tony. Everyone, and I want to thank my team as well. Star Parsemian, David Hiron. Thank you so much. We really have had a good, solid approach here. All right, everyone grab a straw. It's show and tell time. Josh, you pick out which one you'd like. Do you want pasta? You know, we have these
pasta?
pastas.
Pasta straw.
There you go.
I like the pasta
All
one.
right, I'm going to stick with the color. Okay, pick a straw. We're going to take a picture.